I was, and I wasn't happy about it. I was reminded of the opening track to the television show Friends, that song by the Rembrandts.
Oh, so I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there. Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
The
that's on
annual.
you.
Yeah,
That's your
the
shame to carry.
man. Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. It's Andy, it's John, and it's time to devote 25 to 35 minutes to an artist and a song. And in this case, it will be, yeah, set your watch. It'll be John's turn to offer up something for me to go off and listen to, which I will gladly do once I have the information that I need. So please, John, divulge who and what.
Now, the artist, I wouldn't be surprised if you've heard of them, but I'd be surprised if you've heard them. The artist is the dBs.
No, I don't know the dBs.
Fair
Never
enough. Fair
and
enough.
never. I don't think I've heard of them either.
Okay, it's a name that knocks around and stuff. But anyway, the song is called Black and White, um, which Michael Jackson then covered later. No,
I was going to say. I think
no.
that one might be black or white. But
Hmm.
yeah,
To be
fair.
fair, it's a decent tune.
Yeah.
Slash on guitar. It is a decent. I remember that came out actually, and I was working at this place, and this guy came in. He's a big Jackson fan, and he came in. He goes, "Have you heard it? Have you heard it? Jacko's back." Oh, it's brilliant. That's just really funny.
Oh God, that's funny. All right, well, let me go off and give this non-Michael Jackson song a listen, and I will come back and let you and everyone out there know what I think.
Hee hee.
I never would.
I don't know why I'm being reminded of this. I don't know if it's like the kind of the similar to how it starts and then the hand claps, but I am for a second there, I was thinking this is similar to in some way that song by the Rembrandts that opens the television show Friends, which not a huge fan of. But I'm already pretty sure I'm going to like this more than that. But for some reason, I don't know if it was the hand claps, just the sound, the nature of the way it started. But yeah, something a little akin to that, or at least my brain is playing tricks on me, perhaps. But yeah, I loved the kind of dramatic flourish strums and the way the rollicking drums came in there. Yeah, it sounded good. It just reminded me of something I didn't think I was going to be reminded of. And let's see where we go from here.
Hurt you, and even if I did, you never would tell me. Oh, we are finished. As of a long time ago, as of a long time ago, I stopped. I don't enjoy you anymore. Well, I guess I just don't enjoy you anymore. Well, I guess it's all let out in black and white. You don't like it at all.
John, there's plenty of hand claps in this, buddy, but I see you have room in your heart for some. Yeah, this song is like interestingly, it seems kind of rooted in pop, but there are also obviously some nice guitar rock elements in this. I mean, the guitars have this bright, pretty tone to them, and the lyrics are a little antithetical to the mood that's being conveyed by the music, which I've said 4 million times in the past is something that's always going to kind of like pique my interest because I love that interesting dynamic between bright, happy sounding music and lyrics that are like, we've been done a lifetime ago. That's always an interesting dynamic in a song. So yeah, so far pretty good.
Love, love is the answer to the
Heard that
question.
sound before somewhere.
But thanks for the suggestion. I know I don't care at all. Yeah, I know I don't know anything at all. But I thought I don't enjoy you anymore.
I don't enjoy you anything. I like that.
Well, I guess I just don't enjoy you anymore. Well, I guess it's all laid out in black and white. You don't like it at all. You don't like it at all. You don't like it at all.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Great drums. Nice bass. Oh, like a helicopter whirring. Oh man, that they could have continued doing that jam session for a while longer, and it would have continued to grow on me. Yeah, the first half of the song was like, all right, this is pretty cool and poppy. Nothing outstanding to me, but um, I don't know. The second half of that song really shined for me, especially the that last, I don't know, 30 seconds or so of jamming. I'm not really sure how long it was. It could have even been longer. And I would have loved if it actually had gone on longer. But there was some great drumming, a lot of stop start stuff, a lot of like frenetic, jangly guitar lines as well. That's always going to woo me. So yeah, this song really, um, I want to use the term redeemed itself. But that suggests that perhaps the first half of it was so undesirable that it needed to be redeemed. But it was just I don't know, slightly vanilla-ish, or like it's something that I've heard before, so it wasn't gonna wow me. But what they did with dynamics and stop start and just the electric energy of that guitar, even the solo where it's like ascending and then descending and bending on certain notes of the ascension and the descending portion, was really good and fun. I mean, it was, my ears enjoyed it. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this band. The song anyway. I'd be interested to learn more about the band. And it was nice to I guess this is further evidence of, and sometimes I'm guilty of this. I can think of like plenty of night, particularly during like the pandemic, where I would just go on to Spotify or something, right, and give a song 25 seconds, which is not fair. You give a song 25 seconds. If it grabs you, great. If it doesn't, you move on. And I'm afraid with this, I would have listened to the first 25 seconds and have been like, it's okay, but I don't think I want to hang around here for the totality of the song. Um, but it's proof that you should. You know what I mean? A little lesson for me and anyone else out there who's, you know, quick to judge something a bit too early. Because this definitely grew on me as it went, and yeah, I enjoyed it. And again, I'm interested to learn more about these guys because this is a situation where it's not one of those bands that I've heard of and know I should listen to because others have suggested it. I just haven't gotten around to it. I just never heard of the dBs. So whatever that stands for, and why the lowercase d and capital B, Who knows? Maybe John. So let's get back to him, chop it up a little bit about this song, and see what I can learn about it and the band. Yeah, my interest is piqued. Let's get back to him.
Constantino Rocca, he's back. So you've had to listen to the dBs, black
Mhm.
and white. Please report your findings.
Well, allow me to do just that. So things begin with these big dramatic strums and the building up of the drums, which culminate in them forming the quick pace beat to the song. And those strums kind of continue after the beat like proper blossoms. And they're joined in by this energetic melody on the lead guitar that dances across like the top of the song, like a stone might skip across the surface of a pond. And we were also treated to one of your favorite ancillary accompaniments to any song, hand claps. Um, and interestingly enough, the clapping is a bit more in the foreground during the verse proper as the vocalist begins singing. Oddly, and I don't know what it is, if it's like the hand claps or the poppy nature of the number, but for a moment, just a moment, and I wasn't happy about it. I was reminded of the opening track to the television show Friends, that song by the Rembrandts.
Oh, so I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there. Exactly, exactly.
Well, that's on you.
Yeah,
That's
the
your
hand.
shame to carry.
So, I'm sure that's not an observation that you either agree with or are thrilled to hear, but for whatever reason, that's where my mind went. And it didn't last long. It actually changed quite a bit as the song progressed. This song was one of those that grew on me as it went along. At first, I wasn't super crazy about it, but I didn't dislike it. I just wasn't like bowled over, but I'll get into how things change. Um, so as I mentioned, the song definitely feels rooted in pop sensibilities, but it also is worth noting that the guitar sounds are so bright, have this lovely tone to them. Also, in spite of the happy poppy nature of the music, we have some really biting lyrics about what appears to be the end of a relationship. So in the first verse, the singer mentions he would never hurt the subject of the lyrics. I'm thinking, oh, that's very sweet. And he recognized she would never tell him if he had. And I'm like, oh, well, that's, I suppose that's sweet, although you should probably voice if you feel like you're being neglected or hurt. But then he goes on to avoid any beating around the bush by coming right out and saying, we are finished as of a lifetime ago, which seems pretty fucking long. So this sentiment is only further codified by the lyrics of the chorus, which begins with the line, "I don't enjoy you anymore," and there's really
No, that's brilliant.
you can't misinterpret the meaning of that
Brilliant.
statement. So not a lot of room for interpretation with that line. And after the chorus, they rock out for a couple of measures before the drum fill signals the shift back into the verse. And when they do, there's introduced this very interesting sound that is like akin to something I swear I've heard in like a video game or a game show, but it's like this. I don't know. It's a weird digital sounding. It sounds like synthesized or fabricated, not something that an instrument would naturally, play. But its brightness shines every time that it appears, and it like part of me wishes that it hadn't left so soon. But at the end of the second verse, the music pauses briefly and the singer belts out another "I don't enjoy you anymore" as the drums build and carry the song into this really awesome lead guitar motif that ascends in notation and bends. And at the apex, it then descends and bends on and off certain notes on the way back down. It was brief but very fun. I enjoyed that guitar lick. And already with the second half of the song, I think is where the guitar and the drums really shined on this. Whereas before, early in the song, I really wasn't picking up on a lot of that. So definitely a grower. Back to the chorus we go, and this is punctuated with lines. You don't like it at all, repeated with these little drum flourishes that were awesome. and some guitar strums in between. And this gives way to them jamming out on the main guitar melody from the verses. But around the 229 mark, they do this fun little breakdown of the riff that is capped off by this machine gun flourish on the drums that signals further jammage. This time with more fervent pace and guitar chicanery as the song begins to fade into the ether. And if I'm being honest, I could have gone with a bit more of that, honestly. This is really when they had won me over, and I'm thinking, oh my God, these guitars sound fucking awesome. This drummer is just killing it with his like rapidity. So yeah, I like this a lot. And you know, the kind of the exploration and tinkering around they were doing during that latter jam portion. So for me, if they had tacked on another 25, 35 seconds in that, I would have been like, yeah, that's some good shit. But I could just be being greedy. There was a lot of fun in this song, and I've said this about a billion times. But songs that are bright and fun musically, that have lyrics that are kind of antithetical to that mood, are always going to be they're always going to charm me to some degree. I mean, what is it? No Children by the Mountain Goats. It has this rollicking drinking vibe to it where you think, oh, this is revelry and fun. And then it's just some of the most morbid, toxic relationship shit you've ever heard. So for coming from the guy that brought that song to this channel, and the myriad others that I've brought and that you've brought to this channel, I think I always walk away at least with a smile on my face because of the charm and kind of humor that, you know, the song the music that connotes one thing, the lyrics clearly illustrate another. This is no different than that, and it made me laugh and smile. And again, from a music standpoint, not just the mood that it evokes, but the actual sound of the music in the second half of the song was really, really nice. It really grew on me. Those guitars and the drums are just stellar. So, yeah, I enjoyed this song, and I would want to listen to it again to see if maybe the first half grows on me a little bit, knowing what I'm going to get into with the second half.
Coolio. This is one of those tracks where it's kind of like a foundation stone of music, you know, in terms of certain music. This is my favorite of theirs by a long way. And it evokes other things. See, this is in 1980. You got that jangle pop coming through. And also the sound of the guitar, particularly the second half, which you really liked. I wouldn't expect you to pick up on it because you only listened to it once, but that Soft Boys, it sounds like their work a lot as well. And that's around the same time as they were doing their stuff. So this Robin Hitchcock type of guitar is really similar. It's interesting. You know, I doubt there'd have been any cross-pollination between the two, but they're both going towards that same thing. So, dBs, American alternative rock and power pop group, who formed in New York City in 1978. So members, Gene Holder bass guitar, Peter Hornsapple guitar vocals, Will Rigby drums, and Chris Stamey guitar vocals. So in 1977, Stamey played bass with Alex Chilton in New York as of Big Star. Then it splits up at this point. And they recorded a song called brackets, I Thought You Wanted to Know, with television guitarist Richard Lloyd. So some really interesting characters there. A single of that song was released, and it was backed on the other side with a song called If and When, on which Rigby and Holder played as well, and it was issued in 1978 and is credited to Chris Stamey and the dBs. So that's how the band sort of formed. Holdsapple joined the group in October of that year, and their single, Black and White, which you just heard, was issued in 1980. British label Albion Records, good British name, released their first album, Stands for Decibels, in January 81 to critical acclaim and negligible sales. We've heard this line quite often. Bless them. These have to go through this sort of shit to these bands for us to enjoy the outcome. It is acclaimed as one of the greatest lost power pop albums of the 80s. So there's not a huge deal about them on the internet, but AllMusic sort of reviewed it and said on their debut, the dBs combined a reverence for British pop and arty post-punk leanings that alternate between minimalism and a love of quirky embellishment, odd sounds, and unexpected twists. Stands for Decibels is clearly a collegiate pop experiment, but rarely is experimentation so enjoyable and irresistibly catchy. The album sounds not only as a landmark power pop album, but also as a prototype for much of the southern jangle that would follow. I'd be surprised that Mr. Peter Buck was listening. Pitchfork did this about the re-release of the album, and it said the album wasn't even released in the States until after the band had broken up. Yeah, Peter Hornsapple said that back when he worked in a record store, he used to steer customers towards XTC and Squeeze albums because his own band's imports cost too much, proving once again that there is no karma in rock and roll. Yet, the band were always critical favourites and played a major part in spawning the jangle pop sound later perfected by REM and Mitch Easter's Let's Active, which we've discussed on the channel. So yeah, it's a bit, so the Albion Records was just a UK release, so it's crazy this band from New York City couldn't get their own stuff released in America, but there you go. Wild. They're more the times. So lyrics, and I will say about this in terms of a sort of what is in essence a power pop teenage song about a breakup. I bloody love the lyrics. I just think they're slightly different to what you normally get. You know, I never would hurt you, but even if I did you would not. You'd never tell me. Oh, we're finished as of a long time ago. But let's stop. I don't enjoy you anymore. Well, I guess I just don't enjoy you anymore. Well, I guess it's all laid out in black and white. You don't like it at all. I do love this next verse. Love is the answer to the question. But thanks for all the suggestions. I know I don't care at all. Yeah, I know I don't know anything at all. But let's stop. I don't enjoy you anymore. And then I put in brackets, spazzy guitar break. Because it feels like it's going to fall over at any point, but doesn't, which I think is a real clever knack. And it's just great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the charming things that I found in the song, too. That, and the stop-start nature to a lot of the stuff that you're doing was really cool.
And then they come back in. Well, I guess I just don't enjoy you anymore. Well, I guess it's all laid out in black and white. You don't like it at all. You don't like it at all. You don't like it at all. And then I'll put in brackets more instrumental goodness. And they jam to the end, as you rightly said. Yeah. So yeah, this is a real fun kind of a landmarky sort of song in terms of that pop, jangle, indie, whatever. In 1980 is quite a marker down. So they released a second album in 1981. Repercussion. Again, I think that was a UK only release. And then Stamey left the group and he pursued a solo career as an artist and as a producer as well. The group put out a third album like this in 1984. The Sound of Music was the last album before the breakup, was released on IRS Records in 87 with New Orleans bass player Jeff Beninato, who is a founder of New Orleans Musicians Relief Fund. The album actually reached the Billboard 200, peaking at 971. But at least they got a number against their name, you know, the first time.
Exactly.
Peter Hornsapple said in 2002, The Sound of Music has been out of print since 1988, so a year after it was released. IRS then rejected all the demos for a second album on that label, and I ended the band after a show in Florida. In 2017, Hornsapple in another interview said, somehow we've gone from Great White Hope to Also Rans to Godfathers of Power Pop, all without selling a whole lot of records. There were some cities where we felt we were kind of a big deal. In Chicago, we got a lot of radio play on WXRT, and we could sell out the clubs there. But take us to Bloomington, Indiana, and nobody knew who we were.
Which is actually kind of wild because Indiana and Illinois are like right next to each other. So it's
that's what we say. Yeah. Following the dBs breakup, Hornsapple worked as a sideman, serving as a full-time auxiliary guitarist and keyboardist for REM for 4 years, beginning with the Green World Tour. And I saw them and I saw him play with them. I thought, oh, look, there's another guitarist. It's the first time I'd seen him. And it continued through until their 1991 Out of Time album. After finishing work with REM, he toured with Hootie and the Blowfish and then joined the Continental Drifters. Is that a movement? Is that a band? I don't know. He then released one solo album, 1997's Out of My Way. Stamey has released 6 solo records and has worked as a record producer all that time. Rigby played drums for Steve Earle and others, and Holder continues to record and produce.
Oh.
In 1991, Stamey and Holzapfel reunited just together, not under the dBs moniker, as a duo, and recorded an album titled Mavericks. But the classic lineup of the dBs reunited in 2005 and performed a couple of shows in Chicago and also a couple in Hoboken, New Jersey, home of the Feelies.
Yeah.
In March 2012, Holzapfel, Stamey, Rigby, and Mitch Easter, substituting for Holder, played at South by Southwest Festival, and then later that year, their 6th studio album, Falling Off the Sky, was released in June 2012. That's the dBs. Like I say, not a huge amount of information out there, but it seems like they had a good time.
Yeah,
And
it seemed like they
didn't make
kind
any money.
of- yeah, it's not doesn't sound like it, unfortunately, but they do sound like they have this kind of like cult status.
Yeah.
For a certain demographic and followers of a certain genre. So really cool that
someone
who looked up to them would end up bringing them into their fold with REM, you know what I mean? That's pretty cool.
It is. So yeah, I mean, this song, I don't think it's like a quintessential song and a must need, but it's a good mixtape song, if you know what I mean, for a certain type of music or atmos. You know, it's a fun one. Again, it's not like a groundbreaker, it's just a cool song. And I just think the lyrics are hilarious. In terms of breakup, it's funny. It's a different sort of take on things. So there you go. I shall wrap things up.
Cool.
Thanks for listening to this, Andy.
Thank you.
Folks out there, what do you think? Do you like this? Please hit the like button. It does help. All those who do, and I would love to hear what you think. So drop some comments about this song, this band, this album. It's an interesting album because it's kind of a bit schizo. It's got this experimental off the wall stuff, and then it's got this power pop stuff done by the 2 main protagonists of the band. So yeah, it is a cool album. So let us know what you think. Yeah, please drop us a line, and if you haven't subscribed already, please think about it.
More now.
We really appreciate everybody who does support the channel, and it all helps in moving us onwards and upwards until we can finally declare our independence. That being said, thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see all of you in the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.